Let's talk about bone, otherwise known as osseous tissue, which is one of the types of specialized connective tissue. And like I've said in the previous videos, when we're looking at tissues, we want to analyze two main components of it: cells and the extracellular matrix. Cells of bone include osteogenic cells, osteoblasts, osteocytes, and osteoclasts. Osteogenic cells are the stem cells for bone, which will give rise to osteoblasts. Osteoblasts function to synthesize the components of the extracellular matrix via a process known as osteogenesis. They are non-mitotic, so the only cells within the lineage of osteogenic cells, osteoblasts, and osteocytes that are mitotic are the osteogenic cells. And as we discussed in a previous video, the osteogenic cells, osteoblasts, and osteocytes are along the same lineage, whereas osteoclasts are more closely akin to the blood cell macrophages. And we'll talk more about those. Osteocytes are trapped osteoblasts trapped within depressions within bone known as lacuna, or lacunae is plural, and they communicate with each other via canals known as canaliculi. So there are cytoplasmic extensions from osteocytes that allow for communication to adjacent osteocytes via the canaliculi and via gap junctions. Gap junctions allow for the passage of signaling molecules and ions from one cell to another. They're responsible for bone remodeling, and they also release a hormone known as osteocalcine, which influences insulin activity in the body. Osteoclasts are responsible for resorbing bone. Keep in mind, the word is resorption, not reabsorption, and those are two entirely different words. Resorption of bone means breaking bone down to liberate components within bone, specifically calcium, to get it into the bloodstream to make it available for other functions in the body, such as muscle contractions, release of neurotransmitters. The extracellular matrix of bone is composed of an organic component and an inorganic component. The organic component of the extracellular matrix is collagen, while the inorganic component of bone is known as hydroxyapatite, and that's predominantly calcium phosphate. And the function of bone is support and movement, protection, synthesis of blood cells, and storage and release of minerals, specifically calcium that I alluded to earlier. It synthesizes in adult life. It's responsible for storing and synthesizing both red blood cells and white blood cells. As far as protection goes, it's protecting organs within the body. The skull protects the brain. The vertebral column protects the spinal cord. The pelvic girdle is protecting the organs within the pelvic cavity, such as the urinary bladder, uterus, prostate. And support and movement is significant to bone and muscle acting together to allow our body to maintain structural integrity and movement.